Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin' Robbie Billups, and it's time for the weekly comic book review.
All right, 10 years, man. That is something. And I've been here for most of it, it feels like. Been watching Robbie do his thing. Got a great attitude. I love when he talks about comics. I love the weekly review shows. I watch him every week without fail. And he does a great job. He's one of the shining lights in this YouTube comic book community. And he's great. I love being on the show. He's a great interviewer. He knows how to make a guest feel at home, which I personally appreciate. And yeah, congratulations, man. Here's to another 10 years. I'll be watching. Hopefully I'll be on there again.
That's right, everybody. Thanks for checking out the video. I am Rockin' Robbie Billups. This is the weekly comic book review. It's the show I read a lot of comic books and I let you know what I thought about them. And we always start with the pick of the week. And this week's pick of the week, Cul-De-Sac, issue number 1 from Bad Idea. This book was amazing. Now, all in all, this week is kind of, it's an okay, solid-ish week for comics. Nothing super extravagant, but out of everything that came out, this is what I would call extravagant. This is what I would call raising the bar to another level. So Cul-De-Sac is written by Mike Carey with artwork by Jonathan Weishak. The story is relatively simple, but it's told in an interesting way. It's about a group of children who are just about to find out from their parents that they're vampires. Meanwhile, there's some people hunting down vampires. Maybe they're hunting down this pack of family vampires. Now we got these kids just now learning they're vampires. How do they deal with that? What are the events that unfold? That's what happens here in the pages of Cul-De-Sac. But what really spotlights and highlights and all kinds of lights this book is the artwork from Weishak. The artwork is stellar. It's printed on a newsprinty type paper. The colors still though shine through, and the artwork is great. It's gritty and it's textured and it evokes a certain tone, and it's rather experimental, I should say, with some of its techniques, especially to not just the line work but to the color work or the lack of color work. I loved the detail in the artwork. I loved the composition and the coloring of the artwork. I loved the story. I was engrossed into these characters. I love the whole package. Cul-De-Sac issue number 1 from Bad Idea Comics. Pick of the week. Tell you what, 2 Bad Idea comics have made my pick of the week within the last few months. Maybe Bad Idea being more available to comic book readers is a pretty good idea. At least that's what I think. And no, they didn't pay me to say that. All right, moving on. From Marvel, we got Wolverine by Chris Claremont, issue number 1. This is a one-shot comic book that was a part of that, the Chris Claremont Paragon edition or whatever. It was this giant hardcover in a giant slipcase that came with new content as well as reprints of some of Claremont's greatest X-Men hits, the Wolverine miniseries with Frank Miller, Dark Phoenix Saga, Days of Future Past, and we just recently had that Days of Future Past prelude type thing. That was from that collection. I believe this book is from that collection too, but it's a story written by Chris Claremont with artwork, amazing artwork by Tom Riley. The artwork in this book is killer. It is freaking awesome. Everything about the coloring, the sense of movement and flow from page to page, and the layout and the composition, freaking awesome. This book is awesome. And this is basically, it's not really, I don't know why it's called a Wolverine book. I mean, it takes place back in within Claremont's run. Sabretooth's trying to kill Mariko. Wolverine's there to stop him. But the X-Men are there too. So it's more of a X-Men book than just a Wolverine book. But I guess it is from Wolverine's perspective. I don't know. Sabretooth's pretty much the main character in this book. And I rather liked it. I thought the story was good. Out of modern day Chris Claremont work, it's kind of like at the upper threshold of that as far as skill and execution goes, but the artwork by Tom Riley was amazing. Super cool. I'm glad that some of these nifty extras from that Paragon collection have been released. The Days of Future Past one was just but this one's pretty sharp. I actually like that one. Then we got Captain America issue number 2, Chip Zdarsky's second issue with artwork by Valerio Schiti. I think I was rather harsh on the first issue of this book. I just wasn't what I was wanting. I didn't want to see what this book is doing. Is it's telling us basically Captain America Year One after he woke up from suspended animation. A story that's been done, a story that I don't necessarily feel like we need to go back to. I just want a fun, exciting Captain America book, not another one where he's questioning his place in this new world, in this new America, and it just feels like it just wrote just over and over and over again. However, on the monthly comic book review, our buddy Greg over at Bearded Comic Bro picked this as one of his picks, and it got me thinking, you know what, I need to give it another shot. So I came in with fresh eyes on issue number 2, and I liked issue number 2 a little bit better. Seriously, a lot better, honestly. I enjoyed this comic. I thought it was decent. So Captain America is out of suspended animation recently. One of his first missions is to go into Latveria and deal with this new uprising dictator, Victor Von Doom. So that's kind of cool. I like Doom. Doom's kind of handled interestingly here. But there's this other dude who kind of went through his own super soldier thing during 9/11 and the post 9/11 wars and all that stuff, and he's the new Captain America. So that Captain America is working with Steve Rogers' Captain America, who is still considered a rookie and questioning his place in America. There's some things in here that I've seen done and done before, but honestly, I thought the book was fine. It was decent. It was interesting enough. I liked it a lot better than issue number 2, maybe because there was a little bit more Latverian Doom action. I liked that. Speaking of Doctor Doom, we got One World Under Doom, issue number 6. This book was not good. I didn't like it at all. The majority of this issue is Reed Richards and Victor Von Doom having a televised debate about whether Doom should be emperor or not. Seriously, Doom has taken over the world. And why did some of these ideas and plots and stories just feel so damn silly? Like, Reed's gonna have a debate with Doom on TV, and then Doom's like, manipulating everybody emotionally and all this kind of stuff, and it just doesn't feel like Doom to me. And then we have the big revelation that was promised. The big revelation of what Doom is doing to maintain his power, his grasp on power, right? And it gets revealed, and I think it's so, I think it's out of character. I think it doesn't work for me. I don't like the reveal. It seems, I don't know. I did not like this issue. I did not. This book, for me, has been a bit up and down. So then we got Red Hulk, issue number 7. This is a tie-in to the One World Under Doom. The reason why it's a tie-in is because Dr. Doom had apparently feared or was respectful, I guess, of Thunderbolt Ross's military, strategically minded self. It's a weird way to say that one, Robbie. Anyway, so Red Hulk, he gets kidnapped. He gets taken prisoner by Dr. Doom. He's there with Deathlock and Machine Man. They do a breakout. And then Red Hulk gets captured again. Now by the U.S. government, because they're like, yo, we're working with Doom, so what are you trying to do, man? So it's more of that. This issue is kind of weak. I've actually liked this book, but this one has a different artist on it. It's Jethro Morales, and it's fine. It gets the job done. But there's some wonky things that actually happen in the story that kind of don't really help out his work. But I already miss, was it Jeff Shaw who's been on this book? I already miss him. Anyway, goes to show you how important the art can be. But also the story has some really kind of dumb elements there. Yeah. Then we got Amazing Spider-Man issue number 9. So Spider-Man just got his ass beat by this dude Hellgate. And this whole issue is him being all like, having a pity party about it, like his legs broke or something. He's just running around, not talking to anybody, being a little bit of a pill, and we've read these stories before too. It's fine. We literally just had one of these from Joe Kelly during the mini 8 deaths of Spider-Man, where he just like, it's hopeless, I'm giving up. He does that, so we're doing that again. We're doing that again here, and what's a shame is I thought the last issue was rather exciting. This one, not so much. You do got a guest artist on here. He's fine. Michael Dowling. Art's fine. Story's decent enough. There's an interesting moment with Mary Jane and Peter. Peter's just being sad sack Peter. It's kind of boring. Then we got Uncanny X-Men issue number 19. Just coming off of an arc that I wasn't really super into. I wasn't super fucking into it, man. Anyway, then the last issue of Uncanny X-Men kind of felt a little bit more like what I was liking about this series in the earlier days, when it first started, like 8, 9, 10 months ago. But so that, and also it feels more like a classic X-Men book the last issue did, and this one kind of continued that, right? It was interesting, like this version, this iteration of the X-Men, they're living down in Louisiana now, and this town is kind of going too far and above to try to make them feel comfortable, in a way, and so they're dealing with that. And then the Jubilee, there's something that ties into the very beginning of this whole, what did they call this again? From the Ashes, a new age or some shit. From the Ashes. Anyway, so they're dealing with some stuff that was set up earlier, and now they're paying it off, and that's pretty cool. A nice little Jubilee-centric story. So I liked it. I thought it was decent, and I think Uncanny X-Men had a little bit of a dip in my interest, but it's pulling itself back together. Then we got Storm here with issue number 11. Why? Because these go to 11. The reason why is because Storm is awesome. I love this book. It's such a high concept Storm book. The basic idea of this series has been that Eternity has chosen Storm as his host, so it has upgraded her to a truly cosmic level power set, which comes with cosmic level problems. So that's pretty interesting, and now we're escalating into this thunder war where all these different thunder gods are declaring war on Storm. So there's a lot of interesting things going on and great characters being utilized, like Bishop and Maggot, of course, and the Aurora herself is personified so perfectly within the writing pen of Moreira Ayodele. This issue had art from, not the regular series artist, Santoro. The art's good. The art's solid. Mario Santoro. The art is solid. There are some things with Galactus here that I kind of feel like that's rather mundane for Galactus, but we're also dealing with concepts well above and beyond Galactus, so I kind of get that. But what I do like about the book is, even though it's got this high concept, cosmic level, giant storytelling, it's still personal with the characters, and it also allows itself to have fun and be a comic book. And that's pretty cool. It's any other Storm book with this story would take itself way too seriously, I think. So, I like Storm. Then we got Moon Knight Fist of Khonshu, issue number 11. It's an alright issue of Moon Knight. It's kind of the weakest issue of Moon Knight yet, but something really cool does happen here. The whole thing is there's a mystery guest to Mark Spector's birthday. It's his birthday. There's a mystery guest, and the whole issue, for the most part, is told from their perspective visually. So it's like they're talking to us. We don't know who it is. It gets revealed at the end. Oh, okay, that's a nice little reveal. And then there's something really cool towards the end. But all in all, for the most part, this felt like one of those, let's catch everybody up on what's been going on, reestablish some things in the world of Moon Knight, and then move forward. So it kind of felt like a little bit of a filler issue, but significant things for the run happened in this issue. So it's not necessarily filler, it's just one of those lull issues, if that makes sense. So Moon Knight Fist of Khonshu was alright. Plus there's a different artist on here, Domenico Carboni, and it's fine. It's okay. It gets the job done. Then we got Daredevil, Cold Day in Hell, issue number 3. This is the final part of this Dark Knight Returns with Daredevil, written by Charles Soule with artwork by Steve McNiven. I loved the first issue. I thought it was amazing. It made my pick of the week. Within these pages, including here in issue number 3, Steve McNiven is doing his best interpretation of Frank Miller, but not doing Frank Miller, if that makes sense. It still feels like Steve McNiven, but it's a different, looser type of line from him, a more frantic, more edgy kind of line, but you can obviously tell from the story and with the page designs and panel compositions, this is very much influenced by Frank Miller, particularly Dark Knight Returns, which makes sense. A lot of people have done that. This is a pretty fine Daredevil story. I loved the first issue. I thought the second issue was good, but just a slight bit under that one. This is like on the same level as issue number 2. It's good. It's enjoyable. It's a big, brutal finish, and it's got some of the most badass Frank Castle moments I've ever read in a comic book. And I've read a lot of them. There's some really cool Frank Castle stuff in here. No lie, no joke. I enjoyed this book. I thought it had a satisfying conclusion, but it didn't fully develop or realize its promise from the first issue for me, but it's still decent. Then we got Ultimate X-Men issue number 18. I've been loving what Peach Momoko's doing in the pages of Ultimate X-Men. It's very different from any X-Men book you've ever read, but I really like it. It's got this kind of like Japanese horror kind of bend to it. It's really focusing in on the youth and mystery, and there's a lot of pieces moving around, and sometimes I find myself a little bit detached from the characters and what exactly is going on. Then you have issues like this where things pull themselves together, and it just irons itself out. But I think this is going to be, once it's all said and done, an incredibly rewarding sit down in one afternoon and read it. But I've been enjoying it. If you know what Ultimate X-Men is now, we all know it's the same. It's always that same consistency. Then we got Ultimate Wolverine issue number 8. It's an alright issue of Ultimate Wolverine. It's okay. I haven't been completely sold on this book. I like it when we have Capuccio on the artwork, but I feel like he gets replaced towards the end here because the art kind of does a shift and change towards the end. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me verify that real quick. Where are the credits? No, it's just one artist. I don't know. Something feels off towards the end. There's an interesting interpretation of one of my favorite X-Men characters, ultimate version of that character, and I liked it, and I thought it was kind of dark and scary. This book just kind of plods along, moves a little bit slow, doesn't really feel super essential. I mean, I'm liking it. It's okay, but there's something missing for me in Ultimate Wolverine. I don't know what it is. Let's jump over to DC.
Hey everyone, this is Robbie tuning in to wish Pop Culture Philosophers a very happy 10th anniversary. It's been great to watch all the content on the channel. The couple of times that I've been on to talk to Robbie, he's always been great, and the community at PCP has been fantastic. Here's to many more years of it. Congratulations.
And from DC, we have Cheetah and Cheshire rob the Justice League issue number 1. First part of a new miniseries that's about Cheetah and Cheshire teaming up, two villains, to rob the Justice League Watchtower of something. I don't even remember what it was, or if it's revealed. It might be revealed. If it is, I don't remember. I don't know. This is a weird book. First of all, it's set in continuity. Okay, that's fine. It's written by Greg Rucka with artwork by Nicola Scott. Hold on. Rucka and Scott. Like, that's like a top-notch team. They did amazing work on Wonder Woman back, like, in the Rebirth days, I guess is what it was, the DC Rebirth. It's just so weird that we are assembling this team to do this book, which I guess is interesting enough. It's Cheetah and Cheshire teaming up to rob the Justice League. It's like a heist kind of vibe to it. It's trying to be kind of like cutesy and charming. It doesn't quite fully land for me. Why is this team on... I'm so confused. I mean, I guess I'm not complaining. The book was fine, but I'd rather have I'd rather have this team work on a number of any other, just on Harley Quinn needs some blood, Catwoman, you know? I mean, this is what we're doing. Okay. That's interesting. Then we get Absolute Superman issue number 10. I've really been enjoying Absolute Superman. It was something I wasn't really sold on at first, but as this book has progressed, my interest has really progressed. I've really gotten into this book. The way that the characters work, like this version of Lois Lane, this version of Jimmy Olsen. I'm not super into this version of Superman necessarily, but the world around him I think is really interesting. And not even necessarily the Krypton stuff, but I'm talking about the Metropolis stuff. I'm talking about the Lazarus Corp stuff. I'm talking about the Ra's al Ghul stuff. And then you got other real, like, revelations here in this issue, and it ties in at the end towards a major thread going forward. Man, I'm really liking Absolute Superman. Not, however, like an Absolute Green Lantern. Green Lantern issue number 5, just, it's not working for me. I don't really like the art. It does have this kind of like manga infused and inspired art, but it just doesn't fully work for me. But that's fine. I could get through it, and the book has some interesting ideas about playing with the Green Lantern mythos, but it's not really quite landing for me. I find myself being very disconnected from this book, but at the same time, it's not dull or boring, so there's something about it, because I keep reading it, but it might be my least favorite Absolute book by far. Then we got JSA here with issue number 10. I thought when Jeff Lemire took over JSA and relaunched it with a new number 1, I thought the first story, which was basically felt like the end of a giant run, And I thought that was a weird strategy for Jeff Lemire, right? Like, don't make it super accessible for new readers, just basically destroyed the Justice Society. And now we're still dealing with ramifications of that. So it's kind of rather interesting, because what could have been the ending of an entire run actually is working as a very urgent feeling continuation of a start of a run. I like it, though. The art in the book it's okay. It's solid enough, but basically the Injustice Society has really taken down the Justice Society, and now the JSA are having to kind of pull themselves back together. There's a new Kid in Eternity. That's some cool stuff going on. And let me tell you something, that Leonardo Romero cover right there, that's the cover of the week. I love that. Then we got Poison Ivy, issue number 35. It's been an incredibly consistent book from the beginning. G. Willow Wilson knows this character, knows how to play with this character on the hero side, but at the same time still having a little bit of that villainous bite to her. All of these threads from that were even started before G. Willow Wilson started this run are so delicately and perfectly brought together continuously here in the pages of Poison Ivy. I think, is it Takara? Takara's artwork, it's not the artwork I would think that would work so well on Poison Ivy, but I was really, especially in the early days of this book, immediately taken with how Takara can do some of the horrific bits that are needed in this book. And I have just become a fan of Takara's work. I've become a fan of Wilson's work on this title. It's a consistent, solid DC book, and we need to be very much aware of that, y'all. Batgirl issue number 10, another solid issue of Batgirl. I love the character of Cassandra Cain. I think Tate Bromball is doing a great job here. Art's fine. The action scenes, the fighting sequences are really thought out and really work well in the art, no matter who the artist is. And here it is Takeshi Miyazawa. But I really like it. We're dealing with a lot of family stuff. Cassie's still trying to kind of pull together her feelings and thoughts about her mother, who may have just recently lost her life. She found out a lot about her mom. She finds out she has other family. That all is getting brought up here. This book continues to move forward, and it continues to move forward at a really great pace emotionally and dynamically. Does that make sense? All right, then we got Resurrection Man, Quantum Karma, issue number 5. Ron V's been killing it on this book. Resurrection Man is a character. It's a very simple idea. You kill him, he's born again with a new power, right? There was a book from the 90s, Dan Abnett, Andy Lanning. It's a really solid book. I recommend that you check it out. There's a New 52 revitalization of it. Same team, right? Now you got Ron V putting his unique, sometimes metaphysical and spiritual and esoteric approach to the book. And I love what he's doing with the character of Mitch and what he's doing with the power set of Resurrection Man and the world that's built out around there, and how much scale and scope and ramifications on a really resonant and nuanced emotional level he's giving this book. Plus, you got Anand R.K. just doing hellaciously awesome artwork. This book was top-notch. It's been top-notch. I have a feeling is going to continue to be top-notch as we approach its ending. Then we got Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong, Part 2, issue number 3. I'm not digging this one as much as I was digging the first one. It's all right. It's silly. It's Godzilla. Lex Luthor tries to figure out how to make people big, so there's an element of that going on. It's interesting enough. Superman and Lex are having a team up here. It's just okay. I mean, I guess it's popcorn. I would liken this to like one of those last couple of the Jurassic World movies. Kind of feels like one of those. Or one of those last couple Godzilla versus Kong movies. How about that? How about a facsimile? We got Detective Comics 880, the very famous Jock Joker cover, available in facsimile form with a superpower action figure variant, a blank variant, the regular cover, and the foil. And how cool is it to have this iconic image in foil? I think it looks great. All right, let's go over to Image Comics. I only read one Image Comics this week, and it was Bitter Root, The Next Movement, issue number 5, the final issue of this series of Bitter Root. I think it ends very, very satisfyingly. I loved going back into the world of the, what is it, St. Gary family, I think. They're monster hunters. They're from Harlem. And the book took place like in the 20s and the 30s. But here in this book, it's kind of the next movement. It's taking place in the 60s in the South. Same family, same monsters, but a little bit different. And it's dealing with, obviously, the political nature of that. But I really thought this was a really solid book. Bitterroot's been amazing. It's been great this whole way through. This was no exception. All right, from IDW, we have Godzilla Escape the Dead Zone, issue number 1. This is part of that Kai-Sei era of Godzilla where they're telling, like, they're just, like, I guess starting modern day or in the near future and having, like, a shared universe of books centered around Godzilla and kaiju and all that stuff. So we already had Godzilla issue number 1, which I liked and I thought it was cool, and it was a cool setup, had some nice artwork too. Here in Escaping the Dead Zone, completely separate book, but within this world, and within this world, Seattle's basically been kind of obliterated and it's been renamed the Dead Zone, and there are also mutated humans in this world because of all the radioactivity from all the kaiju, including Godzilla. So this book is about a dude who is a shadowy figure of sorts, like a slight urban legend mythical creature in the Dead Zone, and he's just a normal guy, just so happens he's kind of like part Godzilla. But I liked it. I thought the art was cool. It had this nice buoyant sense of comic book energy and monster fun. I really enjoyed it. This is so far 2 issues in. There are some intriguing takes on the Godzilla lore and universe, and there's some really interesting takes on how to develop this into individual series. So I really liked this. I thought it was solid. So there you go. All right, from Boom Studios, we got Blink or You'll Miss It, issue number 1. And one thing I do want to point out, both of these books have the same writing team, okay? And I'm not familiar with their work, but Ethan S. Parker and Griffin Sheridan were the writers of this Godzilla Escape from the Dead Zone that had really cool ideas. And the same thing with Blink and You'll Miss It. This was incredibly well written. Like, both of these books had a great sense of pace to the dialogue, to the page. And of course, art is a big part of that as well. But a lot of writers are writing full script, and they just kind of, you can tell that they knew what they were doing as far as the pacing goes. And I thought the pacing in this book was great. The artwork in this book is amazing. It's a weird story. This woman shows up at her old town. She says nothing's changed. There's this crazy dark church there. She looks for an old friend. Her old friend barely recognizes her. And then that's pretty much the book. It doesn't really hook you too much. I think there's a better hook in the Dead Zone book than there is here, but there was something to this book that made me really take notice of it. It was that art. It was the pace of the writing. It was how it didn't take its time to explain it. It doesn't need to explain what's going on yet, but I wanted a little bit more of a hook, but there is one, I guess. I liked it. These are like 2 really good sleeper hits of the week. Who are Ethan S. Parker and Griffin Sheridan, and where have they been? These are 2 really solid books. From Mad Cave Studios, we have Orla, issue number 1. This is written by John Lees, which is super cool, with Sally Cantarini on the artwork. It is about a woman who's just trying to find love in this crazy world that we live in today. And of course, most dudes are complete douches to her, try to take advantage of her, don't have her best intentions at heart, so she turns into a monster and eats them. Pretty cool. Now, is she bothered by it? I don't know. But this book was so much fun. It's got some commentary. It's got some monster fun in it. And it's basically like a tribute to the romance comics of back in like the 50s and stuff like that. Like Millie the Model and all these romance comics. Jack Kirby did a lot of them, right? That was a big thing in comics back in those days, and it's kind of playing with those ideas, but in a John Lees monster fun, yet conscious kind of way. I really liked Orla. I think you might have a lot of fun with that. Then we got Don't Forget Your Briefcase, issue number 2. This is a book that came out kind of out of nowhere. Elliot Rahal. I haven't seen much work from him lately, but I am a fan of Elliot Rahal. A few years ago, we had him on the channel. Super cool dude. Then we got Philip Sevy on the artwork. And I'm familiar with his work. So I really like this book. I thought issue number 2 or issue number 1 was great, but issue number 2 was just as great, if not a little bit better. The basic premise is there's a woman, she works at the White House, there's a new president, so she's at the White House doing her job, but her son has to be there as well. He has a briefcase. That'll come to, you'll understand why in a minute. The president gets assassinated at the White House. In all the chaos and confusion, this kid's briefcase gets mixed up with the president's briefcase, which is the nuclear football, right? So now this kid has got the nuclear football. Simple enough, just call up the U.S. government, let them know, right? Ha! Funny thing is, his mom is a Russian spy. So things get really complicated from that point forward. What I loved about the first issue was how real the relationship between the mother and the son feel. In this one, her anxiety about dealing with this feels very real. Plus, the newly assigned secret agent who is in charge of the football, the nuclear football, she's got her own bit of anxiety she's dealing with too. I really like it. A great pace, moves forward, interesting, exciting. I thought it was dope. Then we got Dick Tracy here with issue number 11. Why? Because these go to 11. Never gets old. Never at all. A new Spinal Tap movie. I'm excited to see it. Anyway, Dick Tracy kicks off a new arc here. Really solid book. I mean, Dick Tracy's been amazing this entire time. Alex Aguirre, Michael Morisi. This one has a little bit more flashbacks to Dick Tracy's war days that have been referenced and talked about within the story, of course. And a familiar face, or a familiar face to him, I should say, from his war days, comes in needing some help. Meanwhile, you got these new women going through, robbing banks. Dick Tracy's trying to figure it out. This is just a great, grounded, violent, cool, modern take on a classic concept, told in a classic way still, in the classic vibe. Like, this isn't Dick Tracy set in 2025. It's still pulpy, but it's just something about the modern sensibility of the storytelling, but still so much anchored into what we got before. So I thought that was cool. Let's jump over to Dynamite.
What's up, Pop Culture Philosophers? It's Tony Fleece. I write Feral and Stray Dogs and The Thing and Marvel. Just wanted to give a happy 10th anniversary to you guys, to Rockin' Robbie, and just let them know that we appreciate, we being people that make comics, appreciate you guys being retailers and content creators and YouTubers. Appreciate you guys spreading the good word, being out there sort of like pushing these comics to people, letting people know what's going on every week. It's hard, especially making a book that's ongoing like Feral, it's hard to keep people involved and keep people engaged. And we really appreciate Robbie and Pop Culture Philosophers just being out there every week, just saying like, hey, here's these new books, here's what's cool this week, here's what you might be missing out on. So we appreciate that station, everybody.
And from Dynamite, we have Thundercats issue number 17. Got a great Mark Spears cover right there. Thundercats is a book I've been enjoying, but I do think that it kind of moves slowly. I really do. And here in issue number 17, a lot of threads start pulling themselves together, and I like the pace of the book. Like a lot more I feel could have happened in 17 issues, but we are hitting a point now where I'm kind of pleased with the way everything was set up to get us to these points, to get us to this point. So there's a lot going on in issue number 17, including them finding Cheetah's former lover just when her and Tiger were getting back into getting busy. If you know what I'm saying, Thundercat love never hurt nobody. Anyway, Thundercats issue number 17. I like that. Then we got Silverhawks, wings of silver, nerves of steel. Silverhawks issue number 6. Great Mannix cover right there. Like, I don't know, that really jumps out at me. That's like your runner-up for cover of the week, at least here in Robbie land. Anyway, Silverhawks is a property I absolutely love, treasure, and adore. I loved those cartoons when I was a kid. I loved the action figures when I was a kid. And then just nothing. No Silverhawks ever again Thundercats comes and goes. He-Man comes and goes. Transformers, G.I. Joe, Turtles. But my Silverhawks, that was it. We had that. We had like the Marvel series. It was done. Now we got Ed Brisson and George Kambadais doing Silverhawks. And they are taking a very serious, grounded, interesting, awesome approach. Ed Brisson understands exactly what he's doing as a comic book storyteller, but also as somebody writing Silverhawks for Silverhawks fans. It's awesome. It's not exactly what we got before, but there's a lot more depth to it. Depth to the characters, depth to the world, depth to the technology, and it's very interesting, and I'm loving it. I think it's so freaking awesome. If you are a fan of Silverhawks, you need to read this book. You will highly enjoy it. Trust me. Then we got the Herculoids, issue number 6. I love me some Herculoids, y'all. I used to watch the show back when Cartoon Network first came on, and they were showing all those Hanna-Barbera, old cartoons and stuff. And I got into Herculoids, and I thought it was cool. And then, I had Tom Snogoski on the channel, and he was talking about this and his love. And I was like, you know what? We'll read it. But I didn't think Herculoids, the comic, was going to be something I would get super invested in. I love this book. And this issue in particular is all about Egu. I think that's how you pronounce his name, right? Egu, who is like the ape, the rock ape creature. It's all a him story. It's like a one-shot story about him. And we've been getting these stories about the creatures, and you can feel Tom Snogoski's love of this property when you read this book. And he's also developing things about it, like why is Asimont or Asmont? Is it Asmont or Asimont? Because there's some lettering fluffles here. Because at first it says Amazot, then it says Azot or something at the back. Anyway, so he's doing his own kind of thing. And I think I remember him saying, writing this book reminds him of sitting down in front of that TV watching Herculoids. If you like Herculoids, I think you'll like the book. From Dark Horse Comics, we have Hellboy in Love, The Art of Fire, issue number 1, continuing the story of Hellboy in Love, set during the 70s period of Hellboy lore. There's this woman, what's her name? Anastasia, and Hellboy and her have fallen in love, and they're continuing on the mystery. And I'm glad that they keep coming back. It's an interesting time in Hellboy's life. And what I love about Hellboy doing these little series, whether it was Hellboy in the BPRD, or BPRD doing its own thing, or having Hellboy in Love, or other little things and other little side stories, you put together one long chronology and tapestry of everything that happens in the Magnolaverse. And I think that's freaking awesome. I think it's cool. Hellboy in Love, pretty solid issue. All right, then also from Dark Horse, we have Tramps of the Apocalypse, issue number 2. This is written and illustrated by Alice Darrow, who I believe people have told me is the daughter of Jeff Darrow. I'm a big fan of Jeff Darrow, big fan of Alice Darrow. This book is wild. It's just like a post-apocalyptic wasteland-type book that's a world run by men, and the men are very much like cheesy caricatures of macho men and who hate women, and then these women are like caricatures of like the evil badass women out there on the frontier that will kill men and cut off his balls or something. And it's just having so much fun with it, and I love the artwork. It seems simple, but it's deceptively simple because there's a lot to this and a lot to the monochromatic coloring. I had a lot of fun with issue number 1, and I had just as much fun with issue number 2. Pretty cool stuff. I cannot wait to see more of that. All right, we got another book from Bad Idea. This one is written by Matt Kent with artwork by David Lapham, and it is Project Chimera, The Hero Trade, the first of a 2-part story. It's black and white. First of all, it's on newsprint, it's on black and white. As I was reading this, I was like, okay, I'm enjoying this, but I really feel the need soon to reread Stray Bullets. Stray Bullets, if you've never read it, is one of the greatest crime fiction comic book stories, and it's done by David Lapham. All right, so he does the artwork here. That took me back. Matt Kent does the story. It's about this company that has these twins. It's basically the Wonder Twins. What if the Wonder Twins were held and maintained by some kind of organization and lied to about the true nature of the world so they could easily be manipulated to being weapons for this organization? And they're the Wonder Twins, right? But how about instead of So one of them can turn into like an animal, right? So like, what if this dude turns into like a gorilla and just kills a bunch of people, right? And then the other person, you know, she like in the show they could turn into water, like form of water, right? What if it was like you could form into gas too, and like poison people? There's some really interesting takes on usages of those powers. I'll just show you one double page spread. I really like it. If you like black and white artwork, if you like David Lapham, definitely check it out. The story itself was cool. The way it was structured, Matt Kent's pretty excellent at structuring comic book story. I was engrossed with it. It kind of took a while to read, and there wasn't always exciting at every moment. But by the time you get to the end, I was ready for issue number 2, which is the last part. But it says Project Chimera, the hero trade. So I feel like there's more to this world. Maybe more that's already come. Maybe more to come. I have no idea. I just know I liked that book. And no, Bad Idea did not pay me to say that. All right, then we got Roy, issue number 1. This is from Fantagraphics. It's Gilbert and Natalia Hernandez. It's Gilbert Hernandez, of course, of Love and Rockets fame. This is a new project from him. I don't know who Natalia is, if it's his wife or his daughter. But you can tell there's 3 different stories in here. They're interesting enough. They are weird. They are super freaking weird. You know, when I read Love and Rockets, I'm more of a Jaime fan. But I can respect and appreciate what Gilbert does. But man, this Roy character, I was so lost. I was so lost, but at the same time, so mesmerized. So I liked it, but at the same time, if you like Love and Rockets, if you like Gilbert Hernandez, check this book out. There was this cool one about aliens. I liked that one. There's one Roy's dressed as there's some weird stuff going on. But I do love the artwork. I like the alien story in the middle. I guess that one is Natalia Hernandez, but I don't know. Jury still, I mean, I liked it, but man, I don't really get it. So there you go. All right, then from Ahoy Comics, we have Ancestral Recall issue number 1. This is a new one from Jordan Clark, and it was decent. I did like it. Otagon Ilhan is the artist. It's an interesting story. So it's about this dude, kind of like a grouchy guy. His wife goes missing, I think, or something. He's trying to go find her. He's able to pull powers from like ancestral recall, which it's interesting because it's kind of like related to like figures in Black history or something. But that didn't really super shine through, and it's in some kind of other world. Like, I don't know. It's interesting. I liked the concept of the book, but I don't think it fully went there, and it didn't fully engage or grab me, but it's still intriguing enough for me to want to check out issue number 2 and maybe even give this one a reread, because when I did read this one, it was like, I remember I was pretty tired. I was pretty tired when I read this one, because I read this one a couple days ago. I should have read it again. But I think it's interesting, but I don't think it's fully baked, if that makes sense. However, smells delicious. It may not be fully baked, but it smells like it's fully baked. Smells fantastic. It gets the smell of the week. From Critical Entertainment, we have Warrior Spirit, issue number 1. It's just a one-shot comic. Christopher Rita and Alonso Molina Gonzalez. This is a nice little light, easy, one-shot comic about prehistoric man surviving and one guy's journey through it. It's like there's very little dialogue. You read it in like 2 seconds, but it was satisfying. It wasn't bad. I liked the art. I liked the story. It was interesting enough. And it's only $2.99. I was about to be like, if it's $4.99, I don't know. It's only $2.99, so that's not bad. It's decent. I liked it. I thought it was pretty solid. Then from, what is this? Is this Panic Entertainment? Not familiar with them. Tama number 1. This is the story about a virtual pet that can come into reality and kill. And what about the kid who befriends this evil Tamagotchi? Sounds cool, right? Unfortunately, the execution just wasn't quite there. The artwork's okay. It's got some gnarly bits, but it also feels a little bit stiff at times. And the story doesn't really fully come together in any kind of cohesion for me. The idea felt just kind of loose, and it didn't really wow me. And this is a kind of a concept that I think, man, let's just go with it. Virtual pets are real and killing people. Let's go. But this one, I don't know. Great cover by Dustin Wen, though. All right. Then we got some trades I want to talk about. A DC one, a Marvel one, and a Dark Horse one. So let's talk about them. Swamp Thing by Rick Veitch, Volume 2 is here from DC Comics. Never before collected the Rick Veitch Swamp Thing run. I hope they worked it out and they will finally publish, I guess, in the next volume. Should be where it would be, but DC refused to publish one of his Swamp Thing stories. It pissed him off. He left. They've never reprinted his stuff. As far as I'm aware, I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, let me know. But this Rick Veitch is the run that followed up Alan Moore. I love Rick Veitch. I've always wanted to get my hands on this run and read it. I never have. Now we got book 1 and book 2. Book 2 contains Swamp Thing, 74 through 79, and the annual, number 4, and John Constantine Hellblazer, 6 through 12. So that's pretty cool. I guess those Hellblazer issues tie in, essentially. Oh no, I haven't read those things in a very long time. Alright, anyway, Swamp Thing, Rick Veitch, Volume 2 is out. How about Volume 2 of ROM? Y'all, I'm so excited. I just picked up, a few weeks ago, Volume 1 of ROM. And somebody gifted me an issue number 1 of ROM. Why this new obsession with ROM? I don't know. I was asking people, is it worth checking out? People told me it was. I'm just happy it's being printed. I'm happy. This, ROM and Micronauts are now being printed. So this is the Epic Collection of ROM Volume 2, and it collects ROM 21 through 33, Annual number 1, and Power Man and Iron Fist 73. This is $50 frickin' dollars. This is $30. This is $50. Marvel, you're losing your damn minds. That being said, it's better than diving through dollar books over and over and over again trying to find every issue of ROM. Alright, then from Dark Horse, we got the latest edition of the Richard Corbin Library. This is Rolf and Other Fantasy Stories. It collects a trilogy of werewolf stories, a postmodern take of Beauty and the Beast that mixes high fantasy with dystopian science fiction. It is the first masterpiece in Corbin's long career. I've never read it, so I'm really, really excited. These are beautiful additions and a dedicated spotlight for Richard Corbin, the late, great Richard Corbin. I'm a huge fan. I first became aware of his work in the pages of Hellblazer, believe it or not. It was Hellblazer Hard Time. It was the start of the Brian Azzarello run. I was like, this is weird. This guy's not drawn like anybody else I've ever seen, and why is this in like mainstream comics? But I started really loving his work, reading some of his horror stuff, his work with Mike Mignola in Hellboy, his Dark Horse horror. Dark Horse is doing a great job. Now they've done all of Den, they've done Murky World, they've done something else I'm forgetting, and now we have this, and I'm going to read this one very soon. I haven't even cracked open some of the others, but I'm going to get into that. So that was cool. ROM, $50 though, Marvel? Shut the... You all are crazy. Swamp Thing by Rick Veitch, Volume 2. Now let's recap. Let's do the You Dig system. Out of 5 You Digs, what do I rate these comics? Tama, issue number 1, gets 2 You Digs. Warrior Spirit gets 3 You Digs. Ancestral Recall gets 3 You Digs. Roy gets 2.5. Well, I'm going to give it a 3 You Digs. How about 3? 3 on that. Project Chimera, the Hero Trade, issue number 1. I'm going to give it 4 You Digs. Tramps of the Apocalypse, I'm going to give 3.5. Hellboy in Love, I'm going to give a 3. Herculoids, I'm going to give a 3.5. Silverhawks, I'm going to give a 4.5. Thundercats, I'm going to give a 3.5. Dick Tracy, I'm going to give a 4. Don't Forget Your Briefcase, I'm going to give a 4.5. Orla, I'm going to give a 3.5. Blink and You'll Miss It, I'll give a 4. Godzilla Escape from the Dead Zone, I'll give an enthusiastic 4. Bitterroot, The Next Movement, I'll give a 3.5. The Facsimile, can you get 5? 5, yeah, for that cover. Justice League vs. Godzilla vs. Kong, Volume 2, issue number 3, gets a 2 You Digs. Resurrection Man Quantum Karma gets a 4.5. Batgirl gets a 3.5. Poison Ivy gets a 4. JSA gets a 3.5. Absolute Green Lantern gets a 2. Absolute Superman gets a 4. Cheetah and Cheshire Rob the Justice League gets a 3. That's a weird one. Ultimate Wolverine gets a 3. Ultimate X-Men gets a 3.5. Daredevil Cold Day in Hell gets a 4. Moon Knight, this issue, gets a 3. Storm gets a 4. Uncanny X-Men gets a 3.5. Amazing Spider-Man gets a 2.5. Red Hulk gets a 2.5. One World Under Doom gets a 1.5. There you go. Captain America gets a 3.5. I'll give it a 3.5. And this Wolverine book, I'll give this one a 4. And Cul-De-Sac, though, the only 5 you digs of the day. Ergo, pick of the week. So that's what I'm reading. That's what I'm digging. That's what I'm thinking. What are you reading? What are you digging? What are you thinking? Let us know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for checking out the video. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And join us over at patreon.com/PCP if you want to help support the channel. I've been Rockin' Robbie Billups. Thanks for rocking with us. Keep on reading. Station, pop, pop, boom!